G'day and welcome to the Guitar Garden. Today we're doing part 2 of Essential Triad approach for electric guitar. I've got an example in the key of C, and we're going to be taking some of the triad and dyad shapes that we learned last time and just tweaking them a little bit and doing something a little bit different. And it's always good to look at it in a different context. Let's check it out. Click the link in the description below to get the lesson resources, full color diagrams, and all the information you need to make you a better guitar player and to concrete these concepts. Okay, so that little track I played at the start was in the key of C, and it started with the G chord, then I went to an A minor, to an F, and then to a C. So basically it started on the 5, went to the 6, then to the 4, and then to this 1, okay? And it's important to understand the concept of what each chord's relationship is in the context of the key. And the numbers, or the Nashville system, is gold for that. The reason why that's so good is that it's a very simple system, and once you learn it, you can transpose it to all other keys. The first chord we're going to be looking at is the 5 chord, or the G chord in this context. And the way I played it in the demo at the start was I used this voicing here. And this voicing is based on 2 G chords, which we reviewed in part 1, but I'll just quickly go through it in this lesson. You should know this good old G bar chord, which is based on the E-shaped bar chord. Bringing it up to the 3rd fret, we have our root note here on the E string, and that spells a G chord. Alright. The second chord that we're basing this dyad from is based on a D chord. But when we move that up here, so our root note is here on the 8th fret, that's a G note, that forms a G chord, a G triad. So if I take part of this E-shaped bar chord, which is spelling G, and I take part of this D-shaped bar chord, which is spelling also G, I bar the 5th fret to play what I was playing with my ring finger and pinky, and then my ring finger and pinky are now playing the top part of this G chord, so I get this shape. Now it's not technically a triad, it's technically a dyad because it's 2 notes repeated. It's a D and a G and a D and a G, which is the G note and its 5th, G note and its 5th. There's no 3rd in this. So technically you could play it over a minor chord, but it's too tasty just to leave it like that, so we play it on the major. The second chord we're going to be looking at in this progression is the 6th chord, which is an A minor chord. I base this A minor triad shape that I'm playing, and in this case it is a triad, off this good old faithful E minor bar chord. So E minor up to the 5th fret, that's where our root note is. We're playing A minor. E minor shape, A minor chord. But what I'm doing is I'm just hitting from the D string down. So I'm just getting the bottom part of the chord, the highest part of the chord. And the reason for that, I'm going to show you in a moment. The next chord we're going to be learning is the F chord. Now we could do like we did with the G, because I've got that G shape there. And just like with this chord shape, if you move it down 2 frets, I've got an F. Well, this is a movable chord too. If I'm playing G here, I slide down 2 frets, and I've got an F. But when I'm playing through the progression, I could go. I could move down, but that's something that I can keep in my pocket. What I actually did was, I did something a little bit different. I know that I have this F chord here, which is a D-shaped F chord. So with my root note there on the 6th fret, it spells an F. But if I'm already making a bar here on the 5th fret, because I'm playing my G, I'm playing my A minor, I could move it to play the F, or I could add the note I need, which is that F. So what I'm doing is I'm basically taking this D shape triad and just making it an F, okay, without moving too much of my first finger, which is barring that 5th fret. So in context, I'm going G, A minor, and then adding that 2nd finger to that F chord, that F note, sorry. But I'm focusing on the bottom 3 strings to create that F chord right there. Again, I could have gone down here. Okay, that's still well and good. But because I want to limit the amount of movement, I'm just going to play that F chord there in this context. The final chord we're going to look at is C. And the way I voiced that was here. I'm just taking this C chord here, which is an A-shaped C chord, so A, sliding it up to the 3rd fret, making that bar, gives us gives us a C chord of an A shape. But if I change my fingering and just bar that 5th fret, just from the D string down, and then 3 frets higher on the B string, I add that G note, what I get is a nice C5 basically, so it's C and G, C and G, which sounds nice over a C chord, C major chord. So again, I'm taking that chord, just nice high voicing that cuts through the mix. Lovely. Now, why would I want to do this? Well, okay, learning new triads, learning new dyads, learning new voicings are always great to have in your pocket, because you might be playing with another guitarist or a full band, and it might be muddying up down here. Okay, if you know another voicing higher, it's going to cut through, and it's going to add another layer of melodic complexity, I suppose, to your song. I just want to reinforce one more point before I go, and that is the anchoring of that 5th fret. The whole point of this is so that I don't have to make so much movement around the fretboard, which has its advantages and has its disadvantages at the same time. Again, it's just another trick in the pocket. So by anchoring at the 5th fret when I'm playing in this particular key, I've got my G chord available, I've got my A minor chord available, I've got my F chord available, and then I've got my C chord available back to my 1. And that gives me a lot of range for the majority of most songs in that key in particular. And because I've not just learnt the shapes, but I've learnt how to move the shapes, and I know where my root notes are, what I can do is I can move it around the fretboard and play in different keys. So for example, this is in the key of C. If I was to go, alright, my song's in the key of E. Oh, okay. C, D, E. Okay, I've got an E chord here. I can make that E voicing there by just taking what I was playing with my ring finger, go 3 frets higher on the G string, and I'm playing a B. So it's actually an E5. E, B, E, B. So then my G, which is now not going to be a G because I'm in the key of E, my 5th chord in this progression is going to be a B. So I've got a B chord here, nice B bar chord. I can take those 2 notes. I've got a B triad here, a D shape B triad. I can put those 2 together like I have, and then all of a sudden I've got a B chord. B, E, B, E. The 6th of the chord progression is going to be in a C minor. Well, I've got a C minor chord here. That shape works right there, so it's C minor. And then the final one is going to be the 4, which is going to be an A. Well, I've got that D triad, that D-shaped triad here, which forms an A, spells an A because I'm up here on the 10th fret. So to play this progression in the key of E, I would then start on the B chord, go to C minor, C sharp minor, sorry, get that A chord in there, and then back to E. So putting it all together. lot easier than trying to move around and navigate with all the other chords. So once you learn the shapes, it makes life so much easier. Thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time at the Guitar Garden.